Triathlons come in all shapes and sizes, from sprint distance through to Ironman, and whatever distance you're training for, it is easy to think of ourselves as endurance diesel engines that don't need to sprint or go fast, even when the gun goes off, right?
Well, no, not necessarily. We're here today to explain why being able to sprint in the water is important and hopefully help you to improve your ability to do that, and also hopefully see some improvements in your performance too.
So let's address the main point. Why do you actually want to be able to sprint? Because when you think about it, all swimming races in triathlon are going to be anything from 15 minutes up to 2 hours, depending on the distance you're doing and your swim ability. But it's the start that we want to focus on. Now, whether you like it or not, you're going to have adrenaline, you're going to be feeling nervous, and you'll probably go out stronger than your average pace, whether you intend to or not. So it's good to have the ability to be able to feel uncomfortable and know what it feels like to swim faster. But also, you might want to get yourself out of trouble and away from the masses, and that's when a strong sprint start can come in really handy.
Now, if you've watched any of our other videos on GTN, this first point may seem a little counterintuitive because we're often actually advising you keep your leg kick to a minimum specifically for triathlon. And the main reason being that we have the bike and the run legs still to come after the swim. And therefore it makes sense to save some energy in the legs for those latter parts of the race. However, when it comes to sprinting, our leg kick is really important, and mainly because we can move our legs far quicker than we can move our arms, and therefore we can get a lot of acceleration very quickly from our leg kick. Also, our legs have massive muscles, and therefore we can generate a lot of power very quickly from them. So how to get a more effective kick? Well, firstly, you want to focus on kicking from the hips rather than from the knees, a trap so many triathletes fall into, creating a lot of drag and reducing the power of the kick. This doesn't mean you can't have a subtle bend in the knee, but refrain from fully bending and kicking from the knee. Also, it's important to have good flexibility in your ankles so that you can finish the kick and propel yourself forwards. If you're someone that struggles with this, a small amount of kicking with fins can help to stretch and improve this. Obviously, some focus kicking within your swims will help, but there are some fun and simple drills you can include too, such as pushing off the wall in a streamlined position with your hands out in front and kicking hard until you need to take a breath. Swim easy back to the wall and repeat 3 to 4 times. Or try some vertical kicking for 30 to 60 seconds in the deep end of the pool, really focusing on loose ankles and pointing your toes. You can use fins for this if you like, and progress to kicking harder and trying to get your shoulders out of the water too.
Relaxation is actually important when it comes to sprinting, and this might sound counterintuitive, especially as we're focusing on the start of a swim race where you're going to have that added adrenaline, your heart rate is naturally going to be higher. But that's why it becomes so important. You want to know what you're doing and feel confident with it, so you can put all of that energy you do have into going forwards, and preferably fast. And it goes hand in hand with breathing. You want to try to reduce the amount of breaths you're taking, so you've got less rotation, less things to worry about. There's also going to be a lot of splash around from the others, so you don't want to be taking in any water with that. So if you can take fewer breaths, keep your head down and channel all that energy into going forwards and fast before you settle into your stroke, and then you can go back to your normal breathing pattern. A great way to work on this in the pool would be to do 6 lots of 25 meters, push off the wall and go as hard as you can for 10 to 15 meters without taking a breath, keeping your head down, and then relax and swim easy to the end of the pool. Have enough rest until your breathing is back under control, and repeat it 6 times.
Like the leg kick, we also need to increase our arm turnover or our cadence if we really want to sprint. And if you need some convincing, just take a look at the Olympic swimmers when they're sprinting on TV. But this is easier said than done. If you've got used to your current cadence or your current arm turnover, it can be really hard to change this. In fact, just disconnecting our arms from our leg kick and that rhythm is incredibly difficult. So a drill that I often like to do is 10 to 15 meters hard off the wall with a really quick arm rate whilst barely kicking the legs. You can use a pull buoy to help keep your legs afloat if you like to. This just helps to keep your arms working by themselves and not relying on the kicking rhythm. Water polo is also a good drill for improving arm rate, essentially full stroke front crawl, but with your head up, looking straight ahead. Because your head is up, you'll find that you need to catch quickly to make sure your legs don't sink too much. And finally, the straight arm drill. It isn't the prettiest and it's certainly not the technique that we're striving for, but it does allow you to spin your arms and get used to that feeling of this quicker cadence.
With the increased stroke rate and the higher speed, you're naturally going to find you feel a little bit higher in the water. Well, you can add this a step further by helping to get your hips a bit higher by simply lowering your head ever so slightly. And if you think about it, you're not going to be needing to lift your head to sight as often. You're also not going to be breathing as much at the start of a race when you're sprinting. So you can concentrate on keeping that head a little bit lower, making yourself more efficient there. And Mark has also touched on or talked about the stroke rate and increasing stroke rate. Well, with that, you've got to increase all aspects of your stroke, and that includes the catch. But obviously, the catch is an essential part of the stroke and one that can't be missed. It does mean, though, you don't have time for the pause, and it's quite hard to speed up your catch. A good drill to help with this is a single arm, because you're not going to have the natural propulsion of the other arm. So as soon as you get to that recovery phase, you're going to be losing your propulsion, and you can exaggerate this by using a pull buoy, and it'll really help you to just speed up that single arm and also get that catch efficient, but also much faster.
And finally, there are some toys we can actually include into our swimming to help improve our sprinting, one of which is fins. Now, we talked about using fins to aid our swimming, to make things easier for us, and also to help improve our ankle flexibility. But they do also increase the resistance during the kick by increasing the surface area of our feet. Now, they don't need to be massive diving fins. They can just be these short, stubby fins like this. And you can do little sets like half a length off the wall, kicking hard, followed by half a length easy. Repeat through something like 6 to 8 times. And there you've got a pretty hard workout, increased resistance with the kick, whilst having a bit of fun.
We understand that sprinting plays a very small part of your triathlon swim, but it's going to help with the rest of your stroke and also just spice up your training, if nothing more. So I'd suggest giving these a go and let us know how you get on in the comments section below. If you've enjoyed it, give us a like. Do follow us on our social media channels, and you can also follow us here on YouTube by subscribing.